Hello, everyone, and welcome to Facilitating Powerful Employment Planning Meetings from Discovery to Action. I'm Tricia, and today we're walking through how to confidently lead and prepare for this meeting so that it sets the stage for real customized job development. This training is especially for those of you who are still building confidence facilitating meetings or want to get even stronger at the use of tools of customized employment the way they were intended. Discovery is the foundation. The employment planning meeting is the bridge to job development. What we build in Discovery, the themes, contributions, conditions of employment, gives us the clarity and direction to move forward towards real employment outcomes. Here's the truth. What you put into the discovery process is what you'll get out in the planning process. If discovery is shallow, planning feels vague and incomplete, you have a harder time. But if you've documented real contributions, routines, observations, and validated themes, this meeting will be productive, rich, and energizing. Rich discovery doesn't happen by accident. It requires intentional time spent with the person through well-planned discovery activities that match their interests, routines, and support needs. You're not rushing to complete a checklist. You are building a story of who this person is, what they contribute, and what conditions help them thrive. Remember, themes should not be assumed. They need to be confirmed. That's where informational interviews come in. They allow the team to see this theme in action and gather real feedback from community members who do similar tasks. Without this level of planning and validation, the planning meeting risks being vague or based on assumptions. This is not a service planning meeting. It's not about eligibility or program status. This meeting is about really identifying real work and starting the customized job development process. It centers around the job seeker's preferences, contributions, and priorities. The goal of this meeting is to build momentum on what you've done so far in discovery. So how do we prepare? How do we hold this meeting? Preparation is key. You'll want to review the full vocational profile and the visual resume. Ideally, you want to meet with the job seeker in advance to talk through what the meeting is for, who they want to invite, and how they want to participate. You want to remind your job seeker that they can lead the meeting, they can co-present, they can bring a friend or someone to help support them if they need it. If there's somebody else they want to help share their story, you are empowering this person with information and voice and leading this meeting in the way that makes sense for them. You want to choose a quiet, comfortable, and accessible space with room for people to gather. And then also if you can have a virtual option, right? Sometimes other people who are from out of town but are really involved could participate virtually. You might want to bring flip charts or whiteboards. You want to bring a copy or a printed profile, maybe some pens and sticky notes for people who are more visual thinkers. You also want to give yourself, and for this process, 60 to 90 minutes to really allow for full participation, collaboration, and spending time in the places where you need to when you have that team together. We really want to make space too, especially for people who have different communication methods that maybe takes a little bit longer to process all of the different pieces. We want to set the tone early. You want to post ground rules like, we presume competence. We'll focus on what works. All input is welcome, but this is the job seeker's meeting. You want to invite the job seeker to add their own rules too. This can build ownership and frame the tone as strength-based and forward-looking. This is one of my favorite sections. You're going to create a live chart during this meeting, whether it's on paper or displayed up on the screen and you're using your laptop. You are going to just kind of quickly talk about what supports success and what gets in the way. We're not focusing on deficits, though. We'll reframe those challenges as support needs. So instead of saying, resist transitions, we might say benefits from visual cues and consistent routines. This section really kind of helps the team think about what's best for this person and gets everybody on the same page and thinking about tasks and environments that really work. This is just an example of one that was done with a young man during his meeting. Now it's time, after you do this what works and what wasn't works activity to get people together and thinking about the job seeker and what's possible, you start to review your summary, the profile, all the different pieces that you've put together. We're focusing on ideal conditions, interests, and contributions. You might want to read some of the parts aloud. Does this sound right to you? If there's certain quotes or pieces that you really want to highlight, or you might ask the team, what have you seen that affirms this vocational theme? And certainly bringing the job seeker's voice to the center is another real key piece during this summer review. Here is where the creativity kicks in. We want to think beyond what people with disabilities have traditionally done for work or in different job descriptions. For example, if the theme is a creativity, think of tasks like curating playlists or editing photos or organizing visual displays, not just cleaning or shredding or arranging, right? We really want to push the team to be expansive and think about what is possible with the right supports and the ideal conditions being addressed. The other piece that's really important is how we get people in the team and in this group to think about supply chain mining and going deeper than just what we see and in storefronts. So we want to use the lists of 20 that you develop for each theme and think upstream and downstream. If someone is interested in pets, we want to brainstorm more than just pet stores, right? Or they're interested in animals. We want to think about beyond, right, the retail or the places that people know. We want to think about dog treat bakeries or animal photographers or veterinary suppliers, mobile groomers, right? Those are just more of the things around dogs or domestic animals. But right, the list can be much more expansive. We want to ask and help prompt who else touches this industry. This is what we call supply chain mining, and it really widens the possibilities. We want to then think about how we identify next steps, thinking about who is going to do what and by when, if there are follow-up items from this meeting. We want to start small, just some 2 to 3 next steps, and then confirm who will follow up and how progress will be tracked, deciding how long you want to, the next time you want to meet. Sometimes a team member might say, but they can't do that, or we tried that before, or things that make maybe as if you're pushing or expanding beyond what people think, there's might be that tendency to push back. So your job is to gently just redirect. Let's stay grounded in what we've seen during discovery. How might we support success instead of assuming it won't work? We always want to come back to the vocational profile. It really is your anchor. Closing strong. Something that we really want to do is make sure we're summarizing, reflecting that everybody's on the same page and you understood the changes or input that people had that were different than what you had initially in the profile or in the visual resume. You want to thank people for coming. You want to maybe take some time to reflect. What stood out to you? What were you surprised by? And what is the job seeker the most excited about? We want to confirm what the next priorities are, right? What connections we're going to make with those employers and following up with any connections or people that we need to follow up with to make those next steps with potential employers. Again, we want to thank people for coming and celebrate the contributions. And then maybe you offer any sort of final insight or reflection on your time and going through this process. Again, just a few helpful reminders to summarize that this meeting belongs to the job seeker. What we believe influences what we do. So when we provide and complete rich discovery, we're going to have stronger job matches and better outcomes. When we show up with curiosity, encouragement, and a clear structure, we're empowering people to move forward confidently. You want to wrap up with a positive tone, asking the job seeker, what stood out to you today? Or what are you most excited about? Confirm those next steps, priorities, and celebrate the effort. You've really just laid the foundation for a real customized job to be developed. I want to just give you a sneak peek of this step-by-step guide that aligns with the content in this video. You can click on this link and get the full document. There are also links within this document to a template for running a customized employment planning meeting, and then a sample of one that was completed and turned into the funder. Finally, as Ellen Condon says, a reminder, the meeting belongs to the job seeker. When we honor their voice and their strengths, when we move from systems-driven meetings to person-driven pathways, and that's where real customized employment begins. I hope you can keep this principle central throughout your process and certainly throughout your meeting. Thank you so much for your time today. Here are the references that I used to create these materials. Thanks again.